Mission Plan. It's a very important development in the context of freedom movement and the situation after Second World War. Fine. So, some basic idea you should always remember about Cabinet Mission Plan. One thing that you should remember, that Cabinet Mission Plan after Second World War. So, Cabinet Mission Plan in 1946. Second thing we can remember, it's a very high powered, right, you can say very important mission, and there were three major, you can say main members, Sir Patrick Lawrence, Cripps and A.V. Alexander. And overall you can remember that in this plan, in this mission, cabinet mission, and right when it came and it recommended, in this recommendation, they actually rejected the idea of Pakistan. This is very important. So, it talked about union of India. Fine. So, this is very important. And when it rejected the idea of Pakistan, there was reaction. Muslim League under Jinnah reacted, and this reaction gave birth to communal rights, and this communal rights created background for partition. Fine. So, in 1946, Cabinet Mission Plan should be conceived in the light of a changed approach after Second World War. You will see change in approach, attitude of the British government. Why this change? Try to understand. In 1945, right, there was a general election in England, and there was Conservative Party, right, under Churchill, Conservative Party under Churchill, right, Churchill, and this Conservative Party, right, under Churchill were routed by the Labour Party, under, right, under Attlee, Labour Party, right, under Attlee, right. So, Attlee took the new, you can say he became the new Prime Minister, and the attitude of the Labour Party, right, towards India was sympathetic. I hope you are getting the idea. So, this development you can appreciate in the context of the change attitude. Fine, changed attitude. Labour Party, Attlee. Fine. So, the attitude of the Labour Party government towards India was sympathetic, and it wanted to sort out Indian problem earnestly. Fine. And therefore, British Prime Minister Attlee announced what you call Cabinet Mission to India. Fine. So, after Second World War, a new development, new approach, new attitude of the British government, and only this attitude is not enough, and Indian situation was also different after Quit India movement, Indian situation. So, now the approach was how to settle this problem. Now the approach was to sort out Indian problem earnestly, and you can appreciate Cabinet Mission Plan after Second World War in this context. Fine. So, we are going to discuss right, some important points of cabinet mission plan. So, heading would be cabinet mission plan. Fine, cabinet mission plan. Is it okay? Done. So, cabinet mission plan we have to discuss. Now, first point we can mention in cabinet mission plan, right, in first point we can add that this on February, right, on February 19 or in February 1946, in February 1946, the British Prime Minister Attlee, announced a cabinet mission to India, to resolve the Indian deadlock, right, to resolve the Indian deadlock. Fine. And second point, next point you can write that this mission comprised of 3 cabinet members. This mission comprised of 3 cabinet ministers: Lord Pethick Lawrence, Pethick, P-E-T-H-I-C-K, Lawrence, Lawrence, Pethick Lawrence. Second, Sir Stafford, right, Cripps, Sir Stafford Cripps, right. You can avoid this, sir. Fine. So, Stafford Cripps. Then third, A.V. Alexander. Fine. So, these 3 members, they arrived in Delhi. It was a big occasion, cabinet mission, high powered mission arriving in Delhi, right. So, in March 1946, after this announcement in February, right, February announcement, March they arrived, right. Then this mission discussed, it was a long process. This mission discussed with around, right, more than 700 plus leaders, this mission discussed with more than 700 leaders, right. However, despite sincere efforts, no unanimity could be achieved by the Indian leaders. No unanimity, no consensus could be achieved. And at last, right, there was an announcement with more than 700 leaders, right. However, despite sincere efforts, no unanimity could be achieved by the Indian leaders. No unanimity, no consensus could be achieved. And at last, right, there was an announcement of this plan. Fine. Announcement of this plan. Right. What all this plan announced, right? There are different interpretation, different wordings, right? What all in general, what we can remember these in these points. Number one point, cabinet mission plan. It announced a union of India, a union of India. It announced a union of India comprising both British India and princely states, consisting both British India and princely states, comprising both British India and princely states. Then second, the representative of both the provinces and the princely states would be there in the executive and legislature of the federal government. The executive, the representative of both the provinces and the princely state, the representative of both the provinces and the princely states would be there in the executive and legislature of the federal government. Then number 3, executive and legislature of the federal government. The executive, the representative of both the provinces and the princely state, the representative of both the provinces and the princely states would be there in the executive and legislature of the federal government. Then number 3, the federal government would be dealing with defense, foreign affairs and communication. The federal government would be dealing with defense, foreign affairs and communication, and the other subjects will be vested in provinces. Remaining power would be vested in provinces, and the other subjects will be vested in provinces. Fine. Then number 4, next provisions of cabinet mission. Number 4, the mission also made a provision for constituent assembly. This is important. This mission made a provision for a constituent assembly for India, and it was provided that in the proposed constituent assembly, each province will be given representation on the basis of its population, It was provided that in the proposed constituent assembly, each province will be given representation on the basis of its population, right? And it was provided that in the proposed constituent assembly, each province will be given representation on the basis of its population, Each province will be given representation on the basis of its population, on the basis of its population, right. So, what is this provision? This provision is that the formation of constituent assembly on the basis of the recently elected provincial legislature by allotting to each province a total number of seats proportional to its population. Fine. So, elections were to be held by a method of proportional representation with single transferable vote. This kind of provisions, right, this kind of provision they have made. Fine. Then the next provision was, so constituent assembly, and next provision was that till the framing of the constitution, a 14-member interim government, right, remember this, 14-member interim government having the support of all the major political parties, right, would be set up at the center. 14-member interim government, right, till they are developing constitution. Then next, every issue will be decided by majority vote, right. Every issue would be, you can say, decided by majority vote of the representative of both the major communities present and voting. Right. And one more provision you can remember. Sometimes they are asking simply the provisions of cabinet mission plan. So, these 5-6 provisions we have to write. Then one more provision, constituent assembly we have mentioned, right, division of subjects we have mentioned, yes. We can mention the next one more. The provinces of the British India would be divided into 3 groups. Group A, Group B, Group C, right. So, the first group would consist of Hindu majority provinces. The second, Muslim majority provinces, and third would be consisting of Bengal and Assam, having almost the equal number of Hindus and Muslim. Fine. And each group was to settle its own, you can say, constitution, right. And the representative of all of them were to meet in a constituent assembly to draft a constitution for the union, right. So, this kind of provisions were made, right, were offered, were announced by cabinet mission. Fine. But this was not an easy task, and this proposal created controversy. Try to understand it. These are not simple provisions, and there were different interpretations. So, the problem actually started after this proposal, after this cabinet mission. All those parties had different opinion about this cabinet mission, particularly the grouping clause. Each party looked at the plan from its own point of view. To the Congress, cabinet mission plan was against the creation of Pakistan. Congress was happy, right. One constituent assembly was envisaged, conceptualized. and there was no veto for League. So Congress was, you can say, happy, right, with this kind of proposal. So Congress approach was how Congress was looking at this cabinet mission, right? Negation of Pakistan. Number 2, negation of veto for the League. Number 3, one constituent assembly. Right? Fine. Muslim League believed Pakistan to be implied, right, in this compulsory grouping. So Muslim League's perspective was different. Later, you can say, they had different opinion about this cabinet mission, but you will see that there were different interpretation, different understanding about this cabinet mission plan. So this plan was very confusing, and this plan created more confusion, right? And this plan was objected also on different grounds. Congress League initially had different opinion, but soon they started suggesting something. Congress, right, started believing that, right, this kind of, right, approach will delay the process, and you can say League realize that Congress will reject this plan, right?